Welcome to the second season of Empower Your Magical Self. I'm your host, Leah Wellborn, the Mystic Autistic. I created this podcast because I used to be very, very sad. In fact, for decades, I hated being alive. In 2020, I was touched by grace and I decided to live in joy no matter what that took. The result? I empowered my magical self. Along the way, I was diagnosed as autistic at the age of 48. I also became a Reiki healer and an ordained minister. My mission now is to continue to empower my magical self and to help you empower your magical self, whoever and wherever you may be. In each episode, I'll be talking with someone who has helped me empower my magical self. I'll ask them about the experiences in their lives that have shaped them, and I'll ask each guest to answer one question. What is magic? Join me for all 13 episodes of Empower Your Magical Self, Season 2.
Join me and my guest, high vibe artist and thought leader Shariya Wise, for a discussion about being a bad bitch and empowering your magical self. For episode 2 of season 2 coming up next.
Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the second season of Empower Your Magical Self. I'm your host, Leah Wellborn, the Mystic Autistic. My guest today is the amazing, gorgeous, radiant Shariya Wise. She is a high vibe artist and a thought leader, and I want to give you a little bit of background on how I came to know her and why I admire her so much. Background. I used to be an extremely depressed person for decades. I was so depressed that I absolutely believed with all of my being that there was no way that I could be happy. Depression had become sort of my way of life, as had scarcity, as had resentment, as had all of the negative emotions really that you can think of. And I'm not blaming myself. I give myself a lot of grace because so much of that was ego defense that I'd built up around trauma. Anyway, perhaps you can relate. So, in 2020, just as COVID was getting started, something happened. I don't know quite how to explain it, other than to say I was struck by grace. I consider that time, that moment in 2020 as my personal renaissance. It was during that little window of time that I decided that instead of ending my life in 2020, June 2020, and I hadn't had a plan, I decided that instead of that, I was going to really throw myself into discovering what it meant to live a joyful life. I'd never done that before. I didn't know really what that would look like. I didn't know actually at all what that would look like, but I had a feeling it would have a lot to do with changing my habits. And I was very resistant to that because habits are habits. And I have changed my habits in the meantime, long story short. The process that I undertook to get from there to here, from 2020 to here I am now at the end of 2024, happier literally than I've ever been in my life. I'm on the verge of turning 52. And very deeply grateful to be where I am today. That process, that period of time from 2020 to 2024, I've been fully developing what I call empowering my magical self. Not just the podcast, not just my Reiki healing service, but my way of life. Everything I do, I seek to empower my magical self and to bring magic. I won't say into my life because it's in my core. And so to uncover the magic, the inherent magic that I have, that we all have, and to empower that part of myself to live life joyfully, to joyfully participate in the sorrows of the world. That's what empowering my magical self is about. And that's what I try to do with all of my work, whether it be Reiki or my writing or my podcast or my silly videos on social media. The whole shebang, all of it is about empowering my magical self and hopefully helping others to empower their magical selves. Now, as part of that, empowering my magical self, I follow what I call a soul lit. It's not a diet. We don't like diets here. We don't believe in diets. We don't like them. We don't think they're healthy. We say puh on diets. Puh. What a soul lit is, I endeavor to only do things, only engage in things that light my soul on fire. Immediately you might say, oh, like washing dishes, like doing your laundry. Well, no, but look at it this way. My long term, my everyday long term is to live peacefully and happily in my own skin. That involves living in a clean atmosphere that has good, calm energy, which involves, you guessed it, doing the dishes and keeping my laundry clean. As part of my soul lit and only imbibing, bringing things into my life and into my energy fields that light my soul on fire, I'm very careful about the music that I listen to. So a couple of years ago, I started listening almost exclusively to a genre called high vibe music. Last year, the very first guest I had on my first podcast season was Tony Jones. What a goddess that woman is. She is one of the big artists in high vibe music, and she was kind enough to grace me with her presence for the first episode of the first season last year. And I absolutely love her and just am so grateful for her and for her music. Peachka was another guest last year who is a big star in the high vibe music scene. And that was such a great episode that I had with Peachka. Peachka has recorded with, is collaborators and friends with my guest today, Shariya Wise. You thought I'd lost the thread, but I did not. I'm back here to tell you that today I have the pleasure to talk with Shariya Wise, who joins me from Houston, Texas. She's such a star. She has some big projects coming up. She's got an album coming out. It launches on November 22nd, produced by Chris and Teeb. So I really don't have to say anything else, I don't think, after I've said Shariya Wise and Chris and Teeb. Look for that. She also has a really cool program. Let her say it, the name of it, but you should definitely check out ShariyaWise.com to find out more about that. Also, here in our conversation, we talk about the importance of getting to know your nervous system and how to regulate your nervous system and what to do when your nervous system is dysregulated. And it is one of the major themes of my life. And this goddess brought the subject up of her own volition without being prodded by me. And we really go off on that topic and on tapping and affirmations and all the things that you can do to have a wonderful, magical life. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to let you watch this fabulous interview. And I hope that you learn more about Shariya Wise, engage with her work, because she is something. She is a lioness and she is a motivational queen. Enjoy the interview.
Hey, Leah, how are you?
Oh, welcome, Shariya. Look at you. You just look so pretty. And with the plants behind you and everything,
I
you just look like a
appreciate it.
goddess.
Thank
Welcome,
you. Thank you
welcome.
so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat.
I'd like to tell people why I have invited you. I found you a couple of years ago. I was searching for music that was uplifting, and I came upon Tony Jones. What a blessing. She
Yes.
was the first artist on my podcast last season. And that, one of the good things about Spotify and social media and that kind of thing is that it opens kind of a lovely rabbit hole at that point.
Yeah.
And so eventually I found you. I found Peachka, who was also on my podcast last year. And you two together is just like, wow, your tracks together. That there's a song when you have a line, "This moment by the power of my tongue," I just
Yes.
get chills every time I
Oh,
hear that.
mission accomplished.
Abundance is coming to me. I say it comes into existence, I speak. I say it, I mean it, I forever repeat it. Speak truth to the shining and loving belief. In this moment, with the power of my tongue, I speak life into my being because I already won. I am grounded, I am present, and I only speak with love. And I thank my throat chakra for the role it plays and all it does.
I don't chase, I attract. I receive all I ask. I will pave my own path. I ain't never going back. I don't.
Yeah,
Yes.
you are just such a powerful artist and such a light. I love your music. I love you. You can sing very well, in addition to being a really good rapper. And that is just part of your story because you also have this whole affirmational. I don't even know how to phrase it. I mean, to say empire sounds terrible in this day and age, but like
Thank you.
existence,
Yeah.
presence, thing. So I know that you're starting a program, if I
Yeah.
may call it that. Please tell us
Yeah.
about what that is so people can join up if they want.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for asking.
Of
So, it's
course.
the Vibration Elevation Accelerator. I think of it as a mastermind, but also a journey. It's a 22-day journey that starts on October 20th. And the intention is to really help us be and maintain the vibrational match to whatever intention or desire we see for ourselves or we desire to manifest. Because inevitably, there's nothing that we can have tangibly that we didn't already embody and maintain the vibration of already having prior, right?
Right.
And so, but it actually gets a lot deeper than that because there's inner child healing, there's shadow work, because many times we're doing our mindfulness every day. We're saying our affirmations and we're speaking all of these amazing vibrations and energy over our life. But sometimes we have stagnant energy within our energy centers, our chakras, our organs. We will
Right.
be talking about EFT and so many different healing modalities to when we identify together where the blocks may be, where our inner child needs to be listened to, heard, so that we can then act accordingly in our present state of being. When we do that, right? So after we do that, we're gonna go in. We're going to reprogram our subconscious mind. In addition to reprogramming our nervous system, because a lot of times
Mm,
we'll do the subconscious reprogramming, but then our bodies still respond to life and moments in certain ways, and that's our nervous system's default response to life. So we'll go in and we'll do that, and then we'll practice embodiment together, like really just playing the role, so that we can feel the energies and maintain the energies of the version of ourselves that we are creating ourselves to be. But we also train our nervous system to know that it's actually safe for me to express in this way. And so we do this together, but then we also have each other in our private exclusive chat, so that we can just hold each other accountable, but in addition, support each other, give each other the dedication when motivation drops, and
right.
just
Because it
really
will. It's gonna.
motivation fluctuates.
It does.
And
And that's a
so,
good thing to kind of point out because my intended audience for this program is people who feel like perhaps they're broken or in a bad place in their life or have been in a dark place. I lived for decades in a place where I didn't think I would survive
yeah.
uh,
Oh,
my own hand. I thought it was
mm,
inevitable that I
wow.
would end my own life.
Yeah.
And I was struck, I don't know how else to explain it, by a moment of grace in 2020 and have just built from that and decided to live in my power and to empower my magical self,
Mm,
which is what I call just living in that grace and living intentionally from moment to moment and choosing to do things that light my soul on fire.
mm,
And of course, there are going to be steps that I have to do along the day. I still have to wash dishes. That doesn't necessarily light my soul on fire, but I know that it's a mean to an end. So I'm able to
right.
incorporate it all into a general flow. And I love that that's sort of the vibe that you present too. And so much of what you're talking about just resonates so much with me, especially as an autistic woman. I was late diagnosed autistic and my nervous system was an absolute shambles my entire life. And I see so much now that that was at the heart of so much of that depression and woe and suicidal tendencies,
Mm,
because we as animal creatures are still, our nervous systems are tuned to be living a life where we have actual predators coming at us and we respond that way to ringing telephones and
Right.
angry bosses and partners who are
Mm.
passive aggressive.
Mm.
And I think that that is so responsible for so much of our agony in modern
Yeah.
times. So I love that you're addressing it at that nervous system level because it's so overlooked
Mm.
in so
Absolutely.
much.
Definitely. Yeah. It's so, and this is something that I've incorporated into my own journey. I feel like I've been on my self-love healing journey, self-development journey, whatever you want to call it, high vibe journey, about 7 years ago. And so
Mhm.
as my journey has evolved, there's like new things that I'll learn about myself that triggers my desire to learn how I can either heal it or rectify it. And then so that's when I started learning about my nervous system. And yo, it has been so revolutionary for me to actually address it, to know that it's even a thing that really matters, but it so does, you know?
But
That's so
why do
fun.
they not teach us about the polyvagal nervous system and fight
Mm.
or flight and fawn? I didn't know that shit until I was in my 40s, and that is so sad. And I
Yeah,
really kind of am on a personal mission to remedy that. So I love that we got into this because it is such a key part to regulating yourself. So many of us don't know how to regulate ourselves.
right. Exactly. We'll have like an emotionally charged moment that happened when we were maybe a child, and then we'll have something of similar energy like come up in our present day and age, and will respond in the same way as the child, and that's super normal, right? We have to give ourselves love and grace for that, but we also have to remind ourselves that now we have a conscious knowing that this response isn't serving me in this present moment. So how can I then teach myself, love on myself, be easy with myself? I think it's so important for everyone to just be graceful with yourself on this journey, love up on yourself, and remember that it is a journey. So
Absolutely, because like when you just said so often, and I found this in my own life, when we get that activated, that triggered thing of, oh my God, I'm 5 years old again and I feel terrified.
mhm.
We get past that moment, and then the tendency to be like, oh my God, I'm such a stupid bitch. I can't believe I acted like that. That was terrible. I hate myself. They hate me. I'm horrible. And that's not doing anybody any good. I mean, I
Right.
promise. I know we have such this thing of self-punishment in our culture of like, oh, I need to really, oh, I got to bully myself now because I acted bad. I misbehaved. And
Mm.
I want people to forget that.
Yeah. And I give so much grace because I used to have a tendency, and more so just a norm, a habit before I had awareness of doing that, as well as just like being very hard on myself, but also like speaking to myself in the ways that my parents spoke to me. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so really just also allowing myself to analyze the tone in which I'm speaking to myself. Am I scolding myself like a bad child? Or am
Right.
I talking to myself like, okay, you desire grace? And one thing I always remind people is that it's a practice,
Yeah.
because we're so used to not speaking to ourselves with love and being so hard on ourselves if we make a mistake. And we've done that for years. It's been our norm. So now we have to, like, and this is a part of nervous system training, is like we have to then teach ourselves in every moment, remind ourselves more so that, okay, I know I feel this way, acknowledge, like, I know I feel this way in this moment in response to whatever happened. But the more empowered way, the more aware way and conscious way and self-loving way for me to respond is this way. So now let me explore how it would feel for me to respond this way to myself.
Right. Right. Yeah. And you talked about, which is so valid and wonderful and true, finding the vibe of where you want to be and holding that vibe. And I remember not too long ago, probably right when I was starting what I consider to be my personal renaissance at 2020,
Mm,
I would hear people say that. I remember I heard Queen Herbie say that one day. And Queen Herbie, you
yeah,
know her, the music? Yeah. And
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
just thought, you know what? That sounds really cool. I have no fucking idea what she's talking about, though.
That's so funny.
And since then, I have kind of, felt my way into that, but I don't know really how to explain it in words. Could you? And that's a weird ask, but could you kind of explain what does that mean? Finding that vibe and matching it. It's a weird thing to put words to.
It is. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's how I can like express it, because we see a version of ourselves that may be like, for example, let me use me as an example. When I was a child, I would literally be in like the car, and whoever was playing, it was a lot of times it was India Ari in my mom's
Uh-huh.
car, and I would just have my eyes closed. But I promise you, I would literally see myself on stage
Good.
as if like India Ari's song is my song, and I'm just performing it. And it was just something I kind of did naturally,
Right. Right.
but now in my present state of being, now that I realize that it's more of a possibility for me, I'm more capable of creating that for myself now that I have the self-concept and self-knowing to just believe that I can do that for myself. Now I look at that version of me and I'll see, how she carries herself, the characteristics about her mannerisms, but in addition, what are her habits? How is her discipline? And like I do this plenty of times. Like, I have moments throughout the year where I would just have a visualizing session and just like see the version of me that I see for myself in 5 years or 10 years, or maybe even a year from now or a month from now, it's whatever time span. And I will literally do my best to just see and feel all of the energies of that version of me. And
Right.
then I will journal it. And it's not about taking every aspect, every singular characteristic and embodying it all at once. It's about
Right.
seeing what can fit in your present state of being from what you've journaled now to embody that energy. So anyway, to get back to answering your question, I feel like the whole maintaining the energy and the state of being, even if you feel like you're playing a role, maintaining the state of being of the version of yourself that you see yourself to be or that you desire yourself to be.
Right. But don't you have a song that's like, it's already mine, or I already own it?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was
there you
my
go.
second song,
Then
It's like I know it.
that's the vibe, right? You got to
Yeah.
kind of act like, and it's a perspective change.
Yeah, it's a perspective change. And, it's a practice because I actually had someone recently ask, like, how do you keep the feeling? Like, okay, like I'm playing the role, but how do you keep the feeling? And, like, the literal way that you keep the feeling of your embodiment of the version of yourself you're creating is when you do have the moment where you step back into your default state of being, you have a conscious remembrance of, oh wait, I'm playing a role. And then you use your conscious mind to like train your subconscious mind. You then be like, okay, wait, let me step back into the role. But every time you step back into that role, that embodiment, you're training your nervous system that it's safe for you to be this. And from my own experience, the more you do it, you'll have a moment where you'll look around and it's like, oh wow, I'm not acting anymore, but
It's true.
I
Yeah.
will say it does, for me at least, it did kind of feel like I was acting, but then I just had fun with it. I'm like, oh, wait, this is just a game. I am acting, don't take it too seriously, have
But
fun with
in a way, isn't that what just life is, right? I mean, we're here
it.
playing some kind of a role, and we can choose to play the role that we're programmed to play, that culture says, okay, be a good little girl
Right,
and, mind your manners and be sexy, but not too sexy,
right.
and get married and have kids, but not too many kids, and work,
Yeah,
but not so much that you're not with you. You can try to do all that shit,
right.
and best of luck if you're going to. But then you can also choose your own path, which I beat myself up for so long because I didn't fit into that mold and never really desired and so felt like something was wrong with me. And
Mm,
it's just now, after having been diagnosed with autism, that I'm beginning to really embrace all of the little quirks and weirdnesses. And I regret that it took that diagnosis to give myself permission to fully be in love with
mm,
myself. So I want to offer, as I do pretty much on every show, anyone who's listening, that permission to fall in love with themselves right
mm.
at this moment, whatever that means. And I know that Shariah does too.
Absolutely.
I look up to her, and she's offering that to me and to you. And, I've been in places where I thought it was pretty impossible that I would ever be happy.
Mm,
And I just am a living example. I don't know what your story is, if you've had, I mean, we've all had bad times, but I
mm,
don't know in particular how low and dark it's been for you.
mm.
But I reckon that you've not always been in a good place, because
Right.
none of us have. And so for anyone who's listening right now and who thinks, well, it's easy for them to say, look at them, they're in their pretty places and they've got the podcast and they look all nice, but I'm in my bed with a bag of Cheetos and I can't.
Yeah.
What would you say to that person right now who's listening to this?
What I would say to that person is first and foremost, even in the uncomfortable moments of life, every moment of life has an intention. Every moment of life is offering us an opportunity, whether that opportunity is to just be in that moment, whether that opportunity is to acknowledge that we may not want to be in this moment anymore. And so we can figure out or how to create the willpower within us to get ourselves out of that moment. But I think it's very important that you do what you can in the small steps. And well, let me say them this way. Celebrate every small accomplishment because for some people, sometimes taking a shower is a major accomplishment. And
Absolutely.
I think we're in such a day and age and society where it's just like being the and you said it, like being the picture perfect, you know, on the outside is like ideal for everyone, and that's the safest place to be, but that's not everyone's reality. And to be honest, it's an act even for a lot of people. So I think it's very important, like you said, to acknowledge all aspects of you and give yourself love, because you know what, you're in this, whatever moment you're in that moment for a particular reason, but also remember how powerful you are. And I just want to offer this word of encouragement for you, like, you know, especially if you're listening to this right now or even watching it, um you have power within you, and the fact that you're here, you're in alignment with my energy, with Leah's energy, and utilize some of this energy to do the small 1% upgrade step, whether that is to take a shower, whether that is to just wash your face, you know what I'm saying, whether
Mhm.
that is to, whatever it is for you. We are with you right now, and I'm encouraging you so much to take the next step for yourself. Use the willpower within you because you have it. In addition to that, I always say it, but if you haven't already, start a mindfulness practice, because I always look at our mind as like a radio, and every day we have an opportunity to tune the radio of our mind to the frequency that we want to vibrate on for that day. And it is a practice. It is something that we get more accustomed to doing and feel safe within the practice. But our vibration is super duper important. So even if it's just one affirmation right now, even if it's just I am feeling better, say it right now. Affirm that over your life right now. Do, because that is something that you can do, that you can also celebrate, that it can be your next 1% step. But
Right.
speak that over your life, and feel encouraged to know that life is a compilation of moments. Moments don't last forever, but moments are meant to teach us things. So
Right.
this too shall pass if you're not in the best feeling moment.
Right.
And yeah, that's what I'd have to say.
I love it. And I want to go back because you said start a mindfulness practice, and I'm 100% with you there. But I know that
Uh-huh.
somebody might be listening and saying, okay, how do I do that?
Yeah, true.
So you
So
just said one thing, in affirmation. That's a great
yeah.
start, but take us a little further. What could one do?
Absolutely. I think it's really important to remember that mindfulness is a practice that helps us to train our vibration, right? It helps us to train how we perceive life. It helps us to train our nervous system to feel grounded. And there's so many different ways that we can do mindfulness, but I think or practice mindfulness, but it's important to know the intention of mindfulness, right? And so to get started, and I always recommend this because it's the easiest thing for me, is affirmations. I really think that affirmations is super powerful because like everything around us is energy. And when we speak, the energy around us and within us, matter of fact, gives us evidence of what we're saying to be true.
That's
Right.
right.
And so when you begin a journey of affirmations, sometimes for some people it feels there's a dissonance that happens, a resistance, because it's like I'm saying this over myself, but I'm looking around and it's clearly not what I'm
Right.
saying, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right. Right.
And I want to acknowledge that for you because that is a part of the journey, right?
Right.
But it's also about having the conscious knowing of how our world works. Life is kind of like a matrix and kind of like a game. It's kind of just energy.
Well,
And
it
so,
is. I mean, everything is energy. Quantum mechanics
yeah.
has told us that everything is energy. So not only is the energy within us and without us, it is us. And so to
Mm.
me, bringing all of that into alignment is my constant job
Absolutely.
as a human being is setting the intention of what I want and then aligning that. And if I'm
Mhm.
wanting peace and justice and health and, you know, abundance,
Yeah.
that's gonna align. If I keep it aligned, it's just like you said, holding that feeling, holding that vibration.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah. So if somebody's like, okay, I'm on board, I want to do these affirmations. I'm really breaking it down simply for people.
I love it. Let's get down.
Yeah, so I know you have a Facebook page that you put an affirmation pretty much every day from what I've
Hmm.
seen. So there's one source of an affirmation that they could get. I mean, I'm really just thinking this person's like, I don't know, I'm kind of going to go out on a limb and try this wacky affirmation thing because these women seem happy, you know? So I would also suggest personally listening to high vibe music like Sharia's and Peachka's and Tony Jones's, Lizzie Jeff, Chris and T, Mellow Will,
Mm.
on and on and on,
Right.
because there is that beat memory thing, nervous system that is so different than
Yeah.
just saying it and not believing it and thinking, right, I'm abundant. I having to ride the bus to work, you know?
Right.
So I really recommend that combination that your music and the music of people in your genre puts forth to really dive into that affirmation journey, because it does something to your nervous system in a way that's slightly different from just saying or reading them.
It so does. And I'm actually so glad you touched on that. And that should have been the first thing I said. Music is actually the first, like, it's like such a powerful tool, because when you listen to music, especially music that you like, your energetic vibrational resistance is naturally just a little bit lower. You're vibing with the music, your body is in tune, there's no resistance, you're just feeling the music. But then remembering that there are and then with Chris and T, they put 432 hertz, within their beats. And it's just like the affirmations plus that intentional high frequency, you're
Right.
instilling integrating that within your vibration. So I'm so glad you said that. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's why I love the power of also listening to ourselves, because yes, affirmations are powerful. There's affirmations in music. You can journal affirmations, you can speak them over your life. And I think it's about asking yourself and just practicing each one of them, and ask yourself what feels best for me,
Right.
I think music is a great start, because
Yeah.
it's just, and there's so many different types of genres within high vibrational music.
Right.
Like I'm more of the hip hop R&B. By the way, I have my debut high vibrational music project coming out on November 22nd, so I'm
What
so
is
excited about
what do
that.
what do you mean? It's like an album type
An
thing or like,
album produced by
oh, how,
produced by Chris and T. So I'm just so like blessed. I'm so
oh, see, I didn't
grateful.
even know this. Tell me the date again, please.
November 22nd, which is a
November
portal, I believe,
22nd.
11/22.
That's really great because those guys are just, they're magic. Pure
Yo,
magic.
I'm
Yeah.
so blessed. I'm so grateful. I'm so, so grateful.
Yeah. They're if anybody doesn't know them, Chris out, check and T. Check out Chris and T, because they are really, really amazing. And they're kind of like a hub sort of in the high vibe
They are
genre. Yeah.
actually,
It seems like
yeah.
everything kind of touches
Chris
on
and
them in
T
a
for
way.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To quote Shariah, sis, you're a bad bitch, I think is what I want to said to her, because that's the first song I heard of yours. And I was just like, what is this? I love this. I need to listen to everything this woman has ever done. So I'm so
Oh,
excited to hear about your new album, and you're just in high rotation here in the Empower Your Magical Self home.
yes. I'm so, so, so grateful for sure. And
I
it's funny because with my first song, Sis You a Bad Bitch, I created it out of my community's request, but at that point, I feel like I was a talented girl with a successful song, but I have, since over the years transitioned to really embody the artistry within me, but
Oh, I
also
love
like you still creating to inspire high vibrational living for and conscious living, with the affirmations. And so I'm just through the moon. I'm so excited. I'm so
that.
grateful.
Wonderful. Yeah. I love that for you. I love watching you just
Thank you.
do your thing. I love it. What is magic in your personal opinion?
Mm. What is magic? Oh, yo, to be honest, and I don't know if this makes me sound like a typical Leo, I feel like I am magic.
Okay, that's so funny you would say, because as you were before you came on, I said I want to tell her that she's such a lioness in my mind. But I thought, no, I don't want to say that because it seems like I'm like making an animal of you, which is not what I mean at all. And
I love
that's so
that.
funny because that's just how I see you. I see you and Peachka both as these lionesses
And she
in
has the
my
Leo moon.
the
Yep.
love it. That's the in my pantheon. You two are the lionesses. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I was just so
Oh.
overtaken by that. So you're a Leo, and you were going to tell me what magic is, and you are magic. So go ahead.
But let me tell you why I feel like I am magic. Because, just knowing, and when I say I am magic, that is also me saying that every human being is magic. Like, seriously. But what makes it magical is the fact that we know we're magical. Because it's like, if we don't have the knowing that we're magical, then the magic lays dormant, I feel like. But just knowing that we have so much power by ourselves, but of course, there's power in numbers, but by ourselves, we have so much power to create a beautiful life for ourselves, a beautiful reality. And, it's a journey of figuring out how to tap into the power of our magic. It's for me, I really thought when I started my self-development journey about 7 years ago, I really thought that it was going to take like a year and I was going to be like,
Done.
very delusional, but like not in the good way.
I know.
Like,
I know. Total Delulu. When I started seeing my therapist a couple of years ago, I was like, I just got a little kinks I need to work out.
that's so funny.
Now we're really getting started 2 years in. So yeah,
Yeah, and
it it,
so
it doesn't end is the thing.
ever. And it's just
Yeah.
like, and I like to look at it like this, like and let's look at it in the sense of like raising your vibration, for example. Like, once we do the inner work and outer work to reach a certain level of vibration, it's like the world around us sees that we've reached capacity and creates more growth, more of an opportunity for us to grow. So then it kind of feels like it's almost like we get comfy at the high vibration. But it's like, now that high vibration that we worked ourselves to get is a fraction of the option that we have, the opportunity that we have for growth. So you're right, it's an ongoing journey. I'm going to be doing this until the day I transition, literally, like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Me too. And I'm happy for it. If you had
Yeah,
told me that maybe when I began my journey, I would have been maybe like, I don't know, then is it worth it? It's like
I
a lot of
feel
work.
it. That is so funny, but that's so true.
But
I
now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, fuck yes, it's worth it. Of course it's worth it.
Yeah,
What else would I be doing with my time? Not
and
doing this? Why would I do that?
and that's also for me what really makes like the moments that don't feel as great so much more fulfilling, because not that we ever want to not feel great, but life goes like this. Life,
Sure
I
does.
feel like, especially like as souls in human bodies having a human experience, our journey is supposed to go like this is like a flat line.
Right. Right.
And so remembering that is like, it brings me more fulfillment, and knowing that, okay, this moment doesn't feel good, but this is also just a part of the journey. This is a part of the game. This is a part. And also, what am I supposed to learn here? Like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't feel good, what am I supposed to learn here? Because this is shaking me up a bit to mold me to be the version of myself that I have to be to thrive on whatever level I'm bringing in or calling in for myself.
That is exactly right. And it's resonating so much because the up levels sometimes are going to hurt like so bad. For example, I broke my right knee at the beginning of
Mhm.
July. Never in my life could I have conceived that that would be a blessing, but it has been such a blessing to me in that I have just been forced to sit in myself in
Mm.
my little room and pout it out for a while
Yeah.
and then just like move through it. And it's been such a transformative experience. And, I'm a Reiki healer, and I always tell my Reiki clients we store our trauma in our joints. I believe that.
Mhm.
Now I know that
Mm.
because I have felt generational trauma leaving my body through
Wow.
this experience. It's been the wildest thing that this has been such a level up that I didn't see coming, that it happened at the beginning of July when I'm just thinking, damn, I'm doing great. I'm in a great place. Wow.
Yes.
And then
Time, yeah.
bam, I literally
Mm.
got kneecapped. I mean, somebody didn't kneecap me, but I broke my knee.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
fell. I was trying to hang up a hummingbird feeder in a tree of all things, and I fell and broke my knee. And so I've been hobbled. I'm just now starting to be able to walk again, with a walker.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful.
Mm.
So just to say 3 years ago, I would have been kind of okay with it. But 6 years ago, this would have fucking destroyed me
Oh.
because I just would have not been able to see the joy in it.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I mention that to people who keep thinking, well, bad things keep happening to me. And I get it because bad things keep happening to people. I see it all around me, you know, but there are those people who are able to see the blessing in it.
Mm.
And that's not in any way excusing bad shit that happens to them or saying, oh, well, that's God's testing you or whatever. No, it's a way, it's a mind shift, like a perspective shift, like we were
It
talking
is.
about earlier.
Mm-hmm. And doing your best to see the blessings in moments, especially in moments that don't feel good or that are painful. It's also, what's the word I'm looking for? Doing that also allows the universe to then respond to the gratitude that you're expressing with more reasons to feel grateful,
That's right.
So
So to go back a little bit to like spiritual practice, mindfulness practice, what's another thing? So somebody says, okay, I've got the affirmations down. What do I do now? What other things could someone do? Literal habits, daily practice type things could they do
okay,
to improve their situation, their life, their attitude, whatever?
daily practice. Okay, this is one thing that I'm so glad you asked this. There's a lot of power and peace in the present moment, like in the literal present moment. Remembering that our mind, in addition to it being a radio, it's also like a vehicle. You can literally, your body can be here in this present moment, but your mind is somewhere in the past. And now you're ruminating on something from the past, and you're feeling real life present emotions from a past occurrence. Or on the other hand,
Thinking
there's
of the
you ruminating in
future.
the future, and now you're like
Yep.
anxious, and it's just like, you know,
Right.
there's so much peace and power in the present. If you ask yourself now, in this very present moment, am I okay? Do I have everything I need? If the answer to that is yes, then, and then also asking yourself, what do I need? But that's another story for another reason, but a moment. But the present moment, there's so much peace and blessings in the present moment, and there's a lot to be grateful for in this present moment. And so I say that to say, one practice that I would so recommend is to keep ourselves present, right? Because there's, it's so amazing that we say our affirmations and we do, whatever other mindfulness practices or modalities that we do, but it's also very important for us to keep our energy present with it. And so but present throughout the day. So the tip that I have is create hourly, or maybe like every 2 hours, every 3 hours, whatever the duration is for you, literal I am present alarms, because that's
Ooh, I
going to
like
give you
that.
an opportunity to check in with yourself. And for me, it's every hour, right? And
Mhm.
so unless I have like a call or like,
Yeah.
but it's every hour. And I do this till this day,
Mhm.
because and I am someone too, and I'm pretty sure I don't have a diagnosis, but there's some neurospiciness going on within me. I can tell you that much. And one day I'm gonna definitely get a diagnosis, but I know that my mind moves in a certain way, and I don't really appreciate how they call sidebar ADHD deficit and disorder, because it's not a deficit or a disorder, it's just a different way of mind. So I always express neurodivergence over, ADHD or,
Yeah. Or
but
neurospicy, which of course we love here. We love the
yes.
neurospicy. Yes, because that's
Period.
what we are. We bring the flavor and the spice to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love your hourly, however long it works for whoever
Mhm.
wants to do it, reminder. You do that with your phone?
Yep. Just
Okay.
literally right in my clock. I have an iPhone, but I'm pretty sure most devices have a clock app, and set your
Yeah.
alarms, and it's literally just I am present. But remember, it's an opportunity. Okay, check in with myself. Where's my mind right now? Am I present? Is my mind with my body?
Right.
So
Right. That's a very good distinction because I know when I was in the height of my sadness, which went on a long time, I would have said, okay, I am right now presently really upset. I'm really sad. But
Yeah.
it takes kind of being willing to let that go and go past that and physically feel into your body. I was so disconnected from my body. So, and I would just be like, no, I hate my body. I don't want to feel into my body. So
Yeah.
there's so much to let go of for so many people, including myself. And it was not a matter of going out and seeking an answer. It
Yeah.
was a matter of letting go of all of that armor and hurt that I was holding on
Mm.
to. And that is
Yeah.
scary. Oh my God, that's so scary.
It is. It is. It literally is. And one practice that has been really, really helping me with that on in my more present journey is actually EFT,
Oh, tapping. I
emotional.
love
Oh
tapping.
my,
Emotional
yo,
freedom technique.
so yeah, emotional freedom technique has been so revolutionary because although we can easily acknowledge it is very scary to go into those deep parts of yourselves, but it's also super, super necessary.
Right.
And so for me, I do this like religiously multiple times a day, in fact.
Yeah.
Like I have been tapping consistently. Like,
Yeah.
but the reason that we tap, for anyone who's just confused, is or
Right.
just curious. So we have organs. Our organs are literal energy centers. In addition to our chakras, we have so many energy centers. Our organs are energy centers. And on the surface of our body, we have meridian endpoints. And to make a long story short, these are basically like where the life force energy, the chi flows. That's the surface level point of where that energy flows for that organ, that energy
He's talking
center.
about the same kind of thing they use in acupuncture, acupressure. It's the
Yes,
same kind of thing.
exactly.
So this is not
Yes.
just somebody made this up one day. This is
Yeah.
ancient Chinese medicine with this little modern twist. You don't have to use a needle or anything. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can, but we're
Yeah.
talking about is just we're not talking about tap
Yeah.
dancing. So people have never heard of it. They're like, "What do you mean tap dancing?" No, we're talking about literally tapping at specified places, and
Yes.
it's magical. I
It's
mean,
a good book that I recommend for
yeah.
anyone who's
Tell
interested.
us.
I so recommend The Tapping Solution by Nick Otner.
Yep, that's
Uh,
the one. That's the one.
at this point, I literally just have a check-in with myself and I'll just see where I am. And then from that moment, I'll freestyle with intention.
Sure, I believe it. I mean, I know if
Yep.
anybody can do it, you can. That I'm glad that you brought that up because that's a really great technique and it's something concrete that people can do because a lot of this stuff is very ephemeral and the meditation is really difficult for a lot of people.
Mhm.
But that is a meditative technique that you can
Yeah.
use. That is something physical that
Yeah.
you can do that if for some reason you just are a person who feels like I can't sit down and meditate
Mhm.
for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
And you know what came to mind when you said say it in a positive way? Because recently, and also with taking advice from the book as well, and being such like I love a good affirmation. And so for me, because I remember the book recommends acknowledging how you're
Exactly.
feeling it, and sometimes that doesn't come off as a positive affirmation. And so at least what the book recommends, and I actually really love it so much because it really does help you just acknowledge how you're feeling. But in addition to having that acknowledgement, then you also must remind yourself, I fully and wholly accept myself.
Completely love and accept myself.
Completely
That's
love and
it.
accept
That's
myself.
the thing,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, well, we are almost out of time. I have just absolutely loved talking with you. I do want for you to let people know how they can find you and enjoy your work and interact with you. So I'm going to let you just take it away there.
Yes, thank you. So I am Shariya Wise everywhere. That is SHARIYAWISE everywhere. You can also find me at ShariyaWise.com. ShariyaWise at gmail.com. Shariya Wise everywhere. And I
Spotify.
would love to connect with
I want to
you.
say if you are on Spotify, as an
Right,
audience,
right.
check because most people are. Check her out,
Yeah.
and then if you like her
Apple Music,
music,
Spotify, YouTube. for music.
Exactly. You'll start getting recommendations for all of these other wonderful people too, and
Yeah,
your life
it is
will
a rabbit hole,
improve.
like you said. Yep.
And it'll be a good rabbit hole, not one of those that
Hmm.
you go down where, like, what is the CIA funding with my money kind of a rabbit
Exactly.
hole, which you
Right.
can do that too. But this is a good
Yeah.
rabbit hole. And check out her music with Peachka as well. She's got an album coming out. Album, I say, I don't know what you kids say anymore, but the people my age say album coming out
It's
with
an album. Yeah, it's an album coming out.
yeah, so check her out there. She's got the program starting.
The Vibration Elevation Accelerator.
There you go. Okay.
Yes. So this is the first one, but not the last for sure.
Okay, good. So people can check that out on your website for sure, right?
On my website, I'll probably be posting about it on Instagram and TikTok, but you'll definitely find information about that on my website for sure.
Excellent.
ShariyaWise.com.
Well, you are just a goddess, and I'm so grateful for you for taking time with me today. Thank you so much. I just
Thank you for
really, I
having me.
adore you.
Yeah.
Send you all good vibes, and just, I love watching you, and just, I thank you very much for what you do and for joining me here today, my dear.
Of course. Yes. Thank you for having me and helping me express myself on your amazing platform. I appreciate you. We had a great convo, and I'm, sending you so much love.
Thank
and
you.
so
You
much
too, my
healing.
dear. You are
Yes.
an example of empowering your magical self, and that's what we do around here, and I just love it.
Thank you. I
Have a
appreciate
wonderful
it.
day, my sweetheart.
Yes, you as well.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that, my friends, was Shariya Wise. She is a power to be reckoned with, a force of nature, and I dare say I love her. Please check out my episode that I did last season with Peachka, and you will see why they are such fire together. And come back next week for my interview with writer Bob Peck, the author of Original Sin is a Lie. I'll see you then. And in the meantime, I hope that you empower your magical self. I'm Leah Welborn, the Mystic Autistic, signing off.